They're back. Haven't seen these guys in a while. How you guys doing? Gotta give credit where credit's due. James Craig is a rhino. At least we're on the same page about something. I'll give him that. Everybody see that? Now, I knew they had a protest today on Belle Isle. I had no idea that James Craig was going down there announcing his run for governor. I had no idea about that until this morning. Somebody sent me a message this morning and say, "Hey, Rod, did you see what happened?" I'm like, "Well, what happened?" "Oh, DWB." I'm like, "Oh, gee." Well, I know about the protest. I had no idea that James Craig was going to be there announcing his run for governor. I had completely no idea. Somebody sent me a message this morning. So I went onto the DWB live stream to see what was going on. And it was the regular, no justice, no peace. That one rapper, Ja, I don't know what the hell he calls himself. When he goes to jail, who's going to take over his position? I guess they'll have an open position for a rapper. Anybody can go on camera and be a rapper. But anyway, him and "We're marching for our brothers, it's the same line over and over. For our brothers, for our sisters. I say we're marching." All that whatever nonsense. This is what these leftists do. Okay? I support freedom of speech, whether I agree with it or not. Once you disrupt that, you're no longer supporting the Constitution. Once you disrupt freedom of speech, okay, there's a proper way to protest. There's a not proper way to protest. But once you disrupt that freedom of speech, you are now an anarchist. I seen some familiar faces on camera. I'm not gonna say any names. I don't want to get any shit started. I'm not surprised one bit. These guys have been quiet lately. They've been quiet. They're starting to come back. And as the primaries are coming, as it gets closer to the primaries, as it gets closer to the election, we're probably going to see more of them. More of these anarchists disrupting events. This is what they do. They disrupt. Okay. James Craig is a rhino. He enforced Gretchen Whitmer's unconstitutional mandates, lockdowns in Detroit. 1,600 cases were thrown out. He is, how do I say this? He is a rhino in sheep. He is a rhino in wolf's clothing. Let me just say that. I don't like James Craig. I'm no fan of James Craig. What happened this morning on Belle Isle? Love your work, but you violated the Constitution again, which can't be surprised. There's 3 people that have a chance of taking out Whitmer in 2022. Ryan Kelly, Garrett Sedano, and James Craig. These are the only 3 that could really get the job done. I believe these 3 only can get the job done. There's only the one I support, and that's Ryan Kelly. He is a stand-up guy. He is everything he says he is. Ryan Kelly is everything he says he is. So, I got my little hat here. So that is my candidate. Well, I'm no James Craig supporter. No, definitely not. James Craig is the only one. Well, I take that back. James Craig and Ryan Kelly are the only 2. There's like 6 or 8 I think there's like, my last count, 6 candidates running. Some woman on the west side, some guy named Austin Cheng. And there's Bob something, I don't know. Yeah. Kind of weak candidates that don't really get out there. So 6 people, I think, running for governor. Only 2 of them have got the guts to go to Detroit. Well, Ryan Calvert's got the guts to go to Detroit. No doubt about it. I've stood boots on the ground with the guy in front of the TCF Center. And James Craig, that's his home city. Well, not home. He came from Cincinnati, so I don't know. And he was chief up in Portland, Maine, so. I will give credit where credit's due. James Craig looked his leftists right in the eye and still did his speech announcing his run. So he stood up to him. I give him that. He stood up to him. I believe he can get the job done. He's not who I'm going for, rooting for. These simpletons, these juvenile delinquents that I've dealt with before, I've seen a lot of familiar faces. I've seen several of these people in person. Oh my God. The only reason they're going at it, James Craig, is because James Craig whipped their ass down the street and around the corner. He stood up to him. Okay. James Craig did do something good for Detroit. Crime went down. Gun ownership in Detroit is up. Okay. And he took care of these little delinquents the way he did. And the city didn't burn. We didn't end up like Portland or Minneapolis or Seattle. You know, we're not ending up like Chicago. So, you know, I will give credit where credit's due, you know. There's some corruption in Detroit. We got the fucked up mayor. And now the guy who won the primary is going against Mike Duggan. He ain't no better either. I don't remember his name. So, yeah. These little juvenile delinquent simpletons that were disrupting the events. That's what they do. They're children. They disrupt events. That's what they do. They act like little juvenile delinquents. You know. Oh shit! I forgot to change my diaper. You know. Those types of guys. We need another patriotic event in Detroit. We had one set up in May of this year. It was canceled due to a security threat. Are you fucking kidding me? Bring in the fucking militia, for Christ's sakes. Okay? There is a lot of patriots that live in Detroit that are afraid to come out because they're scared of these little delinquents running the streets. Come out. Stand up to them. James Craig stood up to them. Ryan Kelly stood up to them. Okay? You got to stand up. If you don't stand up to these little anarchists, these little simpletons, okay, they're gonna run all over you. You got to stand up to them. We need a patriotic event in Detroit. We had one back in May. Oh, we had to cancel. What the fuck you cancel for? You got to stand up. I'll give credit where credit is due. James Craig, I'll give him credit. He stood up to him. There's a lot of patriots in Detroit that need to come out. Okay, don't let these little screaming how do I say this? Diapers. And they're walking around Detroit. Shitty diapers. I want, you know. If you let them run the streets, you know, it's going to turn into Chicago, it's going to turn into Portland and Minneapolis. And we don't want that. Not in my home state. Not in the city that I go to work 3-4 nights a week. I'm an independent contractor. I go all over the state. Work. Contract work. I go down to Detroit regular basis. I was there yesterday. I'm going to be there tonight, today, whatever. Last week I was out in Grand Rapids doing some work. But anyway, I love Detroit. Great city. But we got to stand our ground against these little delinquents, or we're going to end up like Chicago, Minneapolis, Portland. Okay? I say we do a patriotic event in Detroit. Okay? We cannot hide no longer, you know. There's going to become a time where you got to come out. Okay? That's the way it is. I like what they're chanting. Fuck James Craig. Fuck James Craig. Fuck Duggan too, or something like that. Good work, guys. Good work, guys. Well, I'm no James Craig supporter. He's a rhino, but, you know, whatever. How come these guys never come out of... Well, they show up in Lansing sometimes. I gotta give them that. Yeah, they show up in Lansing sometimes. Hardly ever, but... Second Amendment rally coming up, 23rd. Michigan State Capitol. It's gonna be big. I can't wait. If you support the Second Amendment, I don't care what group you're in, you know. There's gonna be a lot of people there. Now it's time to come together. With these tyrants, this is more than the Second Amendment, okay? This is about taking back our republic. The Second Amendment is the cover. That's what's protecting our rights. We lose that, we're done. So we have a real opportunity here on the 23rd to come together. You know, and show these tyrants who's in charge. We the people. Let's do this.